Hi everyone, I'm Bongi and I'd like to welcome you to the first official broadcast of Community Network News. Today we decided to do things a little differently. We're at an outside location, as you can see. Now, for those of you who don't know what we're all about, today is going to be your first taste of Community Network News. We're all about bringing you the news from your community. On our show today, we've got a number of stories for you. First, an update on the Adopt a Cop program. And secondly, a story about a premature baby that was transported by helicopter from Margate. And of course, the highlight story of the week, the Bruce Galloway abduction. And then finally, we'll have some tips for our police services members out there who do such a great job for our communities.
Thank you, Bongi. I'm happy to announce that the Adopt a Cop initiative is swinging into action. The printing and mug press has been purchased and we are in the process of doing the first 120 mugs for the Westville CPF and the SAPS members. This is one of the examples of one of the mugs that we have done so far for the Adopt a Cop initiative. The mugs for the SAPS members will have the SAPS logo on, as well as their personalised name and their rank, because we really appreciate everything that the members are doing for our community. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Westville CPF for making this initiative a success. So if you would like to get involved, you still can by dialing the number you see on your screen or registering online with SACAN at www.sacan.co.za.
Now, one of the best tips that we could give you at Community Network and News is to get involved in your community. You can do this by joining your neighborhood watch and also becoming a part of the 10111 community. Remember, when reporting a crime, it is absolutely vital that you call 10111, get an IR number, and then notify your community watch.
On the early hours of Tuesday morning on the 23rd of July, Bruce Galloway was allegedly abducted from this driveway right behind me. He was then driven up the road by his abductors and taken to Kloof Gorge. We're here at the Kloof Gorge, where Bruce Galloway was allegedly brought by his abductors. When they brought him here, they allegedly threw him off that ledge. He then fell down into the bush down there, where he spent 2 days alone. Had it not been for two teenage boys just passing by, the end of this story may have been very different.
To be honest, no, it was just good timing, grace of God, divine intervention, hey Brad?
Yeah, I think so. And I just don't know what people keep saying thank you, and you can't really say it's a pleasure because you don't really know what to...
To be honest, whoever was there would have heard it, so it was just lucky that we were there, yeah.
Right place at right time, I guess.
After hearing a cry for help, one of the boys contacted his father, who then contacted SACAN. SACAN then activated a number of emergency personnel who came here and discovered that the man crying for help was in fact Bruce Galloway. We're joined here by Cecilia, a local resident of Durban. We'd just like to find out how this case has impacted her. Hi Cecilia, thank you for joining us. Cecilia, tell us, how did you hear about the Bruce Galloway story?
I was following it on the radio.
On the radio?
Yeah, it was actually a hot sort to hear that it happened.
And so do you feel that quite a people in Durban have been very interested in the story?
Yeah, they have, because I mean, he's part of us, he's Durbanites, and so, yeah.
Thank you, Cecilia.
Okay.
Here at Community Network and News, we would like to thank the KZN Fire Departments, Rescue Tech, SAP Search and Rescue, and the Ezemvelo KZN Wildlife. And of course, we'd like to thank SACAN for activating all of these emergency services who arrived here at the scene within half an hour of getting the call. SAPS detectives are working around the clock to discover the circumstances surrounding this abduction. We at Community Network and News are just relieved that Bruce Galloway has been returned to his family safely.
For those of you who are not yet a part of the SACAN community, you can simply join by dialing this number that you see on your screen, 08 616 72226, which will give you access to a 24-hour emergency line, SMS crime alerts, cell phone panic button and positioning, street watch, crime prevention, and township SOS.
Well, on Friday morning, ER24 along with our helicopter department were given a call from Margate Hospital for a woman who had given birth naturally to twins, a boy and a girl, both underweight, just above 500 grams at 21 weeks. The boy, who was in more serious condition, was then airlifted by the ER24 Halo and SA Can helicopter through to eThekwini Hospital from Margate, with advanced life support paramedic Jack Haskins and a nursing sister Kerry Watsink through to the hospital. The baby boy was more or less close to 600 grams, the size of a pen. He was wrapped up quite nicely. They had to use a ventilator on the little boy right through to hospital. His sister at the time was transported with the mother through to eThekwini Hospital by road, who was a little bit more stronger than he was at the time.
And finally on our broadcast today, we're going to talk about Brian Jones. And we all know how passionate he is about SA Can, but he's come up with an outrageous challenge. But I'm not the right person to tell you about it. He should tell you in his own words. We're going to cross over to Brian now. Over to you.
Thank you, Bongi. Family, partners and community. What might be outrageous to some, for me, is something I passionately believe in. You know, the reason we started CNN at sacan.co.za with the help of Andreas, it's actually his dream and his vision that we are supporting. One of the reasons I approached him was I grew up with a father with muscular dystrophy, and every single day in my younger days I was paralyzed with fear when my father might pass away. Until one day he turned around to me and he said to me, "Stop focusing on my death, but rather focus on my existence." It was something that really meant a lot to me and where we're going. When Rodney Drake was murdered, at the time there was a whole bunch of newspaper articles and all sorts of media impressions going out about the Panga gang and the Wonga gang and all these different gangs that were out there. The tragedy is there was no Panga gang. There was no Wonga gang. The Panga that was used in the Ryan Sutherland stabbing was absolutely horrific, but it was a weapon of opportunity. There was no gang going from house to house with Pangas slicing people up, but the community were absolutely paralyzed with fear. Not 12 hours later did Rodney Drake get murdered by a completely different gang. There wasn't that gang that was used or that was happening with Ryan Sutherland and the stabbing in the back. That gang was under serious investigation. The suspects were arrested. In the Rodney Drake murder, within 8 minutes of the call coming through to SA Can, the first suspect was arrested by SAPS. But what happened more and more over the course of those weeks following was the community was absolutely paralyzed into fear and misinformation, and the BBMs and the WhatsApps and the Facebook things made such an impact on the community. And for me, up in the Midlands area working with the farmers, I was so distressed I came down to Hillcrest to see what was on the go. This initiative has been born out of misinformation, and what I've decided to do as a critical need is to commit the next 2,500 financial subscribers, or just over 50,000 Rand, to this project to fund this ongoing initiative. From next week, SPCA will be on board and they will also be doing weekly broadcasts with us. We hope to commit all this time and effort to you, the public, to all the neighbourhood watchers, to the SAPS, to ER24, to Netcare, to the Careline Crisis Centre, Open Door Crisis Centre. There's so many of us doing so much work in the community, and this is an opportunity for our voice to be heard so that you can get the facts and information. Lastly, talking about the media specifically, I'd like to thank the media for all the support, particularly Look Local. Over this last week, we had 8,500 hits on our YouTube release, and it's going to go forward. We need the 50,000 Rand a month to keep this voice going, and really, it's not a lot of money when you compare it to the amount of information that we're going to be able to get out there. What am I doing that's absolutely outrageous? I refuse to shave until we get the 2,500 people financially subscribing for this. This is not about me or SA Can, this is about our entire community. SA Can is just the glue, and hopefully my beard is going to be the motivating factor. So family, my call to action is I need as many people to register at www.sacan.co.za. You can either register as a SA Can member, which is free, and log all your information in the control room, or you can register as a financial member and receive additional services and benefits. To find out more, go back to the website www.sacan.co.za and help me get my beard shaved off as quick as possible. I need 2,500 people. As usual, I'd like to thank Andreas Matthias for all his support in this initiative, and to Bongi and the rest of the team that are at this point in time totally volunteering everything out there. Thanks very much, and we'll chat next week.
Thanks, Brian. We'll hold you to that. You have our full support here at Community Network and News, and we're hoping to see you clean shaven by the end of next week. Well, that's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for joining us. A production like this takes a lot of work, but we have a whole lot more stories coming for you, and we hope to have your support. Please remember that our main aim here at Community Network and News is to ensure and build relationships between communities and our emergency services. So it's absolutely vital. Please remember, if you have an emergency, please dial 10111, just like you learned in school, 10111. You can be part of the solution. Please try join us and to create a safer and better South Africa for all of us. So until next time, we're going to be bringing you more news from your community. I'm Bongi for Community Network News. We'll see you soon.